The show, guys.
Man.
Hey guys, welcome to the process. It's a wonderful Wednesday night. Welcome, Alessandra, my wonderful
Welcome.
co-host. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming and
Hey,
support.
hey. Yes,
And,
absolutely. Welcome back, Process family. Happy
yes,
Wednesday.
and welcome to the process. Process is a sterile processing industry podcast providing education and real-world conversation related to healthcare compliance, regulation, and standards, highlighting industry concerns to raise awareness of sound infection control practices. So, guys, welcome. Thank you for joining the show, and let's get into our intro.
My favorite jam.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome. Oh, you still dancing? You like it?
Sorry. Aloha, Arlene. Hi, Tony. Hey, Harry. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Danny. We
Thank you,
are
guys. Thank you, guys.
back
We
for
are
another
live.
episode.
Season 2, episode 2. Duh, duh. So,
Right? Da-dum-dum.
so we're getting into it, guys. Do's and don'ts,
Yes, we
right?
are talking about employee workplace safety tonight. How to keep yourself safe at work. Do's and don'ts.
Yes, guys, and this is important for those persons. Even if been working in the field for a while, you definitely may miss something, or you may take extra risk, not even knowing that you're taking an extra
Ah,
risk,
ah, yes, that part.
because you feel you're impervious to injury or impervious to infection. So you just, you may walk back in Deacon Tam, you may take stuff out the sterilizer, no gloves on, you know. You may take a little extra risk because you've been burnt enough times, so you know how it feels. So the next time you get burnt,
It ain't
it's
even that hot.
fine, right? You've been poked enough times, so you'll just stick your hand right in the instrument tray,
Ay, ay, ay.
without paying attention. So it's like, yeah, it's just
Absolutely.
another needle stick. It's another
Just
um
another.
sour quip. So we just want to
Ooh,
make you aware, guys, of
that's the one.
areas you should look for when working within the cell processing department, just to be safe. We just want you guys to be safe so that you won't be going to your HR or your employee health department or your ER suffering from, something you don't know about, where the patient has to get tested. You have to get tested for months at a
Right.
time. And then
Definitely.
it turns into a bigger issue. You're on the safety call where we're trying to figure out how this shouldn't happen anymore within the cell.
Ooh, yes. Talk about some process, right? Talk about some process issues. What might happen behind the scenes that you may or may not be aware of. And then, yes, I think especially if you're a veteran in the game, pay attention just because sometimes we get so used to it, we don't think about the risk, we don't think about the harm.
So where we going first with this? Where are we going?
So I thought tonight we would just start with just actually getting to work. We don't really consider this sometimes workplace safety, but especially from the concept of making sure that everybody is resourced and everybody is safe, paying attention to your surroundings when you're coming into work, depending on your mode of transportation, making sure that, like, for instance, if you're listening to the Process podcast on your drive, that you're listening to it
Hmm.
in a way, right? that is not distracting, that's hands free, and you're able to pay attention to the road. So D will tell you all
Mm,
the time, I'm a big stickler, like no meetings on the phone in the car, like
mm.
because
I,
you're not paying attention to the road.
I keep telling her I got my permit, my texting and driving permit, so
Aye,
I'm good.
aye.
But
No.
but definitely, guys, that's very dangerous.
Don't
I
do
was in
it.
an accident last week. Apparently the guy behind me was, cracking up with his friend, and I got hit. So guys, it's definitely important to pay attention because it could have been worse. Thankfully I'm good, but you
Yes.
never know. Pay attention on the road.
Pay attention. Um, and then also paying attention to your surroundings when you're in parking lots, parking garages, just being aware of your surroundings, making sure folks aren't walking up on you, things of that nature. Hopefully your area has a security detail that does some type of rounding because that's a good deterrent. But especially for those of us that work in the like rural areas or in the cities, that can become a really, really fast issue. So be mindful of that. And then the last thing I'll say for entering the building is let it not be a habit that your area is propping open doors. I've definitely had
Mm,
to had to talk to a
yes.
few employees as a manager about like putting towels in the doorways and things of that nature because folks will case the hospital if you will. They will watch us for our comings and goings to see if they can enter the building. There's lots of resources in here, not just drugs, but also warm places to sleep, food to eat, things of that nature. So people are always trying to find a way to cubby in. So definitely keep yourself and your fellow employees safe.
Let me tell a story about that. I worked at a health system, and there was this guy in there for months, not even weeks, months, with with scrubs on.
Mm.
And you know where he slept? In the labor and delivery department. Because there were always strange guys coming in, guys, looking after their girlfriend, their wife,
Right?
so
Not
when he would
uncommon to
come
see
in,
them.
exactly. So he would be sleeping there every night for months, and then nobody knew who he was, but he had scrubs on. He would just walk in, walk out, take a
No
nap,
badge.
no badge, nothing. And then
Right?
came to find out he was just some random dude nobody knew who wanted a place to sleep. So
Definitely it happens. I worked in a few facilities in downtown areas in the Bay, and it happens. So, just luckily for us, there was never an incident where anybody was harmed. That my department was personally involved in. I can't speak for the rest of the house, but definitely, I know one of the more shocking ones for me was one day on my way out of work. I stopped in the bathroom on my way out, and it was close to an exit, and someone had came in and smeared feces all over the bathroom walls, the floor, just everywhere. And as a leader, I felt really bad that I had to call EVS and give them that news that there was this mess that they were going to have to clean up because that is, I mean, even beyond just the hazmat of it all, they're stretched. Their departments usually are, don't have enough FTEs, and the story that we all go through. So for you to have that extra work land on you was just incredible. But again, it was close to an exit, and this particular doorway is open to the public. So it wasn't a situation in which somebody necessarily snuck in, but they did deface the property in a pretty
yeah,
foul way.
that's gross. And let me just say one more thing, not necessarily related to Sterile Processing, but guys, if you're running late, don't park in the fire lane. Don't park in the handicap spots. Try to find the spot where it's safe in case of a fire emergency. Somebody else could get in. So just be cognizant of that. If you're running late or you have to drop something off or pick something up, park
Yes.
in your designated parking spots for employees, please.
Yes, it can seem like a hassle, but that is really, really good point, especially when we're talking about egress for ambulance and things of that nature. Parking in a fairway can be extremely problematic.
Definitely.
All right, but we've made it into work.
Right.
We've made it in safe and sound, and we're going in to change our clothes. Is there anything that I need to be aware of
I
in the
mean,
locker
you're
room?
gonna change your clothes if you don't have your clothes on.
Ha! Excuse me. Excuse me, nerds. I'm gonna change my street clothes into my hospital laundered scrubs.
Okay.
put on my pair of Calzeros,
Every
and
time.
then head into decon. What do you say though, guys? Is there anything I need to be worried about in the locker room?
Anything you need to be worried about in the locker room? I mean, privacy. I mean,
Which can
if you
sometimes
have a
be kind of problematic for us because we don't
if you
always have the best locker.
if you have a unisex locker room, you want to make sure your door is locked.
Yeah.
Or if you have a unisex bathroom, you want to
I'm
make
locking my
sure.
door no matter what because I don't know y'all.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I don't know
Mm.
y'all.
And always knock before you enter, please, guys, because
Yes, that's just a courtesy. Don't, or especially if it's curtains, because so many places still have those
they still have
privacy
those.
curtains. Oh my
Oh
god, my
my
last place.
goodness.
Oh. But and they have those privacy curtains, and so you can't knock, right? But you can, give out a hey, a shout out or something before you just like yank
Hey,
the
I'm about to
curtain
come
back.
in here. Make
Because
sure
I
you have
think
some
it's
food.
important, especially in those places, to remember that your level of comfort isn't the other person's level of comfort. So, there are some people that feel comfortable to just completely, totally change out in front of others, and that's fine. Other folks, they really want to have that individual privacy, and even though it is a public space, I think we all can afford to give each other that courtesy. So,
And
be
guys,
nice.
if you cannot find your appropriate size scrubs, please speak to your management about that. Your scrubs can limit your movement if it's not the right size. So
I have been
definitely,
there.
we want to
But
look
I've
good.
also been in that space where management was not able to provide.
Wow.
And actually, I took a coaching call a couple weeks ago with the employee that was in that same predicament where the laundry scrubs, they didn't have the size for him and they weren't going to get it.
Oh
So
wow.
that was an interesting time
Wow.
navigating that. But yes, do ask, because you definitely don't know if you don't ask. And hopefully you have a management team that respects OSHA requirements and will go
Hmm.
above and beyond to make sure that you're safe.
True, because having the wrong size scrubs, if your scrubs are too small, that restricts your movement.
Yes.
So you definitely want to be able to move about, especially if there's a fire, there's an emergency, there's a water on the floor. You have to get around.
Hmm.
You never know what the case may be. It could be a hot tray rack. It could be a sterilizer door opening in front of you. If you're not able to move away from those possible hazards in time, you may be affected or you may get injured. So,
Indeed. Excellent point. I love this tip from Angie. She said, "Don't block the helicopter pad." Also,
who's blocking
it
the
seems I was about to say it seems like it should be a no brainer, but yes, don't make that the place you sneak off to have a break. Oh my
Wow.
goodness. Another tip. Oh, Rebecca says she likes that she has an area where she can actually change and it's locked. That's awesome. I love that
Excellent.
for you and your
Excellent.
team. Tony says at the beginning of the day, be aware of your teammates and their mental safety. We often bring our personal challenges to work with us. Yes. I actually
Hmm.
have that in my notes to talk about psychological safety, but that is very important. And I think, talking about it as we come into the department is important too, because your mindset can affect not just yourself, right, but the people around you. So I love what Tony said about checking in with people when you come in. Don't just breeze in looking for the needs list and the preference cards and the shift report, but actually say hello and check in with the
But
people that you're working with.
the excuse is right. I haven't had my coffee yet. I'm not a morning person.
Ah,
You know,
you called it an
the
excuse?
normal, the
I hear
usual.
that a lot though.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person, but you made it to work, right? You clocked in, right?
Ooh,
You're getting paid, right?
come on, Sterile
So
MD, call them out.
apparently, you wanted to get paid, right? So
Apparently,
yeah,
not too much further. Can I, hello? How are
right,
you?
exactly. Or simply a good morning. But anyway, I digress, because that's a whole other.
Arlene says I parked near the helipad back in the day and the loading
Oh,
dock. I know better now. Shout out to accountability. I too may or may not have parked at the loading dock. I cannot confirm or deny, but I
no,
appreciate your valor.
but But
Your
okay,
courage and
okay.
your accountability.
So if you know the loading dock hours,
Nah, nope. Especially because you never know when an emergency situation might take place. Don't block it. It's not for you. Park in the employee parking space only.
all right, you're right. You're right. You're right. Don't block the
Boom.
loading dock, guys. Don't block the loading dock.
Boom.
We know you have the XS 550 2000
We
Z,
know.
and we know that you don't have to pack it for everybody to see it. Come on.
Hot mess. All right. So we are in our decatam area. There's some things that we want to look out for. Just quick reminders, right? So we'll definitely talk about sharp safety. But D, what are
Mhm.
some things you think kind of get missed as far as safety in decatam?
Okay, so I'm gonna start small. Detergent, guys, mixing of detergents. So, and not simply detergents, but your enzymatics, your pre-soak, your pre-treat
Right?
sprays. Also, you want to make sure you wash those off before
Definitely.
you soak them in your sinks. Please, 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 because you definitely don't know. Especially one more thing, especially if your departments are coming from your instruments coming from outside departments. You don't know what.
She
Yeah.
said, "Don't put your bare feet on the floor in the locker room."
Oh my goodness.
Ugh.
So yeah, I agree with that one too. So especially if your instruments are coming from outside facilities and slurry departments, you want to make sure that you rinse those off because those different departments may be using chemicals that are not recommended in your department.
This is one I'm gonna have to raise my hand on accountability. I didn't always do that as a decontam tech, and I'm so glad that you said that because in my mind, I don't know that it would have popped up as it would have been an oversight for me to make sure that I rinse off any of the pre-cleansed chemicals and chemistries before I soak them into the sink because it's such a habit to come into decontam and make your water right, put your
Right, right.
detergent right, and then you receive your instruments and the next thing you're going to do is dunk them, but you're absolutely 100% spot on. You're at
Right.
that point you are mixing chemistries.
Yeah, and I like how you said that your water like so it's your area, it's your
Yes.
section, it's your sink.
Yes.
It's like you just organize. It's that's your little
It's
space.
it's mine.
It's my house. Don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna
Mm-mm.
do this. I'm gonna put my enzymatic before I fill the sink, make some bubbles. It's
Ah,
like this is my area. Don't tell me what to do, type of thing. So I
right.
totally understand. But there are certain things we definitely need to look after. So let me segue into PPE. So you definitely, I know for sure there are departments still using those isolation gowns, those thin little plastic isolation gowns in Dickintown. But guys, you definitely need to follow up with your IFUs to know how long you could wear those gowns if you're gonna have contact with fluids, right? So, yep.
Definitely that.
So
And I'm
even
seeing a lot in the social media space, especially for newer employees. They're struggling with their PPE. Um, Last week on a Reddit thread, actually had a conversation with a young man that was looking for moisture wicking compression wear to have under his scrubs. And when we were digging into why he needed that, he basically said that he was trying to put another layer in because every time that he leaves decontam, he's soaking wet.
right,
And so we were like, okay, well, because that's a whole different, now we're not talking about compression and circulation and ergonomics. We're talking about your safety. And
right,
it sounds like your PPE is not doing what we need it to do. So we definitely want to round back to your leadership and discuss that with them. And the person was pretty resistant because they felt very much like you said, like it's my problem, my area, my issue, right? And that the PPE was working well for the other employees, it just wasn't working well for them. Therefore, they
right.
felt that they needed to come up with a personal solution. And I appreciated the go getter attitude about it, but no, your employer is legally obligated to provide safe PPE for you, and you want to give them the opportunity to do so. So you got to let them know if it's not working for you, so that they can find something that does. Because there's so much stuff on the market, so many things to try.
Definitely, definitely, guys. And you want to have PPE to protect yourself because I've seen the burns, I've seen the scars from persons who were at the sink for a long period of time didn't know. They were familiar with being at the sink for a certain period of time, but they didn't know the level of protection that the gown they wore gave them. So let's
Yeah.
say you're accustomed to being maybe an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours in the sink, and all of a sudden your department changed the gowns. Then you wear a different gown at the sink for 2 hours, and then that gown begins to sip. The liquid begins to sip under your skin, and then you get a burn.
Okay, so question for the crowd because I've heard this different ways. I
Mhm.
was taught that I needed to change my gown. Basically, I needed to change my full PPE for each case cart that I received. That's the way
Mm.
that I was raised as a baby tech, if you will. Now, I'll also concede that we were not wearing level 3 and level 4 gowns at the time. Mind y'all, this was nearly 14 years ago. So at the time, we were wearing blue isolation gowns with a white apron on top of it. But we were told to
Mm.
change that for each and every case cart. Now, of
Mm.
course, if we have the Amy standards that give us the levels that are appropriate for decon tam, but we also have new information coming out. Like we covered the splash study that was done by the Ofsted group and ran by Marie Brewer, right, where they found that PPE applied properly doesn't take us everywhere we wanted it to go. So, it's I'm curious for those because I know I have some educators watching. I know I have some consultants, some industry leaders watching, some technicians watching. What have y'all been told? Do you change your PPE after each and every case cart? Do you change your PPE if it's soiled? Because I know other people,
True.
certain people spend, like you said, hours in decontam at a time. I might be in there all day. Maybe I'm in there for 15 minutes. But what are y'all accustomed to in the field? Angie said, I've had techs that bring in their own extended gloves from home that they've purchased.
Yeah, I mean, like personal safety. I
No,
mean, sometimes you gotta, if the facility isn't providing it, you definitely have to protect yourself.
definitely. If your facility's not providing it, I'm not going to tell you what to not bring into the facility. That's if your facility's not providing it, yes, you got to protect yourself. And there's a whole, and we could do a whole show on what other things to do if your facility isn't providing it. But we also saw that during the pandemic, during the height of the pandemic, right, where things were just not available and people were doing whatever they had to do. But we've also talked to technicians in the field more recently where there's just certain PPE that's not in their area just because of the lack of education. So
Yep.
keep yourself safe.
So, four levels of gowns, guys. Level one is used in general hospital circumstances for basic care. Level two is used in low risk circumstances like blood draws, or work in pathology labs and ICUs. Level three is used in moderate risk scenarios such as blood draws from arteries in certain IVs and ER or trauma work. And level four is used for all high risk circumstances like during surgery in an operating room.
Man, there you go. Get it. And it should be really simple to find. Should be visibly marked on your gown what the levels are. So if you're not sure, again, just ask up, right? Ask management, because this isn't something that you're burdening folks with. This is something for your safety.
Definitely, definitely.
All
We
right. So
definitely
PPE applied properly keeps us safe, right? We talked about we hey Marie, we talked about making sure we can choose the appropriate PPE and that we're putting that on. But also in decontam, one of the things that we talked about in our prep call was around electricity. And you mentioned something that again
Mm,
that caught me off guard with the kill switches.
yes,
So
very,
I
very important.
definitely have always made myself aware of where they are, but because I wanted to make sure I could reboot my cart washer.
Yes. Your cart wash, if you have a conveyor belt for your racks, if your washer is acting crazy and throwing your stuff all about, you want to be able to shut that off in time. Definitely
Yes.
be aware of your kill switches because I've seen some conveyors do some crazy things where they could literally chop your fingers off in the pathway between Dick and Tam on the clean side. So yeah,
Right. And this is definitely a space where again you want to, for your personal safety, it's important that you're paying attention. I know as a manager sometimes I would bring in like reps to help train my staff on just the basic operations for those machines, and people kind of you glaze over it because it gets a little boring sometimes until you really need that information, and then it's like, oh my god, where's the button? Where's the thing, right?
I,
So make sure you pay attention for your own safety.
definitely, definitely, guys, know where your kill switches are, because some of these machines they will work 99.9% of the time
Ha.
perfectly, but that one point in time where someone may get hurt and they may not be paying attention, and that kill switch is the only thing that saves them from getting hurt, and you're the one who knows where it is. I mean, it's important.
It's
Just let me know.
important. Same thing with your water. Knowing where to turn off your water. I had an incident where we were testing our eye wash stations, and for whatever reason, the contraption just said the water wasn't going off, and so
Wasn't
it just, yeah, I
just
couldn't
kept
get the
going.
pin to pull back. I think at the time, I think what engineering told us was that the water pressure was too high, so the pin wouldn't actually drop. But I did not know where the water was turned off at the wall in
Oh,
that room. I knew where it was in my decontam, but I
right.
didn't know where it was in my scope room. Luckily, one of
Hmm.
my employees was there that was familiar, and he was able to turn it off pretty quickly, and we didn't flood the room. Teamwork makes the dream work.
It
But
does.
man,
It does.
definitely.
Oh,
Veronica said, "What about the sharps containers and the overflow?"
okay. Shops the trash. So, guys, what I normally do is I get in touch with my container guy. I don't know what you call him, like hazardous waste guy, and he normally rounds to my area to pick those up. So if you have shops containers that are overflowing, please get in touch with your EVS. If it's not EVS, sometimes it's an outside company. You want to make sure that you contact those guys so that they will round with you, whether it's every 2 weeks, every month, to keep that flowing. All right. So one thing, guys, since we on the area of PPE, and my co-host is back.
Wow.
Hey, I have no idea what happened, but we're here. That's
We
the
got lost in the
that's the
matrix.
point.
That's that live show for you.
Yep, yep. So since we're back, we're in PPE. We're talking about Veronica trash and shops
What
containers.
about the trash, sharps
So
containers, and the
my
overflow?
recommendation was just get in touch with your EVS team if they're the ones taking that out. And also, I have an outside facility, an outside company coming to pick my shops up. So get in touch with those guys. Give them a rounding schedule where if you know your containers are being filled every 2 weeks, every month, so that they could swap those out.
Yeah.
So
And definitely, again, if you're noticing that they're not being picked up when they should be, let your leadership team know. Sometimes they get overwhelmed too, and we have to make calls to remind them that we need to pick up. And some of those companies will come out if they've missed rounds for whatever reason. So definitely alert somebody. But the other thing I would say with the sharps and the overflow containers is just to make sure, yes, make sure that they're not completely full before you let someone know that there's an issue. But also just be respectful of each other. It can get it can be an easy thing to want to just toss whatever into any container, and they really do have their distinctive purposes. Actually put together a wall chart for my staff so that they would be aware of what goes into sharps, what went into recycling, what was specifically Da Vinci recycling. And even at that place, sometimes we would get some things that had chemo waste on it as well. So if that's something that will help you guys, let me know. I'm happy to share it. But Education is the key, and then reinforcement with your staff, because it when you're back there and it's hot and you're gowned up, you just kind of don't care sometimes. But that can be problematic, especially if other departments are taking out our trash. Be respectful of other people's safety.
Yes. And since we're talking about PPE, decontamination, safety, Alessandra, shoes. We haven't spoken about shoes. So, what do you do about
Yes.
shoes?
Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit because I think it was Arlene that told us not to walk barefoot in the Deacon Tam. Make sure you have your shoes on. I personally recommend making sure that you have a dedicated pair of shoes that you bring with you. And luckily, in the sterile processing space, in the healthcare space, there's some shoes that are washable and sterilizable.
Washable and sterilizable shoes. Okay, so there's a shoe that lets you comfortably walk away from contamination. So those shoes are called Calzeros. Guys, and I know you're familiar with Calzeros. So we know you spend your shift on your feet and you need a healthy shoe that can be easily decontaminated. All Calzero shoes are designed to keep you moving and can be machine washed and disinfected with bleach. Calzero is a new type of footwear that meets the changing needs of the medical environment, using an innovative copolymer rubber compound to create a product that is sterilizable, autoclavable, anti-static, and extremely comfortable for people standing long hours. Additionally, Calzero Classic can be sterilized using an autoclave at your facility in your sterile processing department and are uniquely commercial dishwasher safe in a restaurant. In business since 1983, Calzero is here to wash away your worries every step of the way. Their mission is to provide comfortable, easy to clean footwear made to treat your feet. So, guys, this is definitely a great option for you. Use wear Calzeros in your decontamination area, and you could clean those and reuse them the next day or throughout the day. So that's definitely a great option. Check out Carl Zeros, and we will put our promo code, our coupon code, so that you could save 17.99 on every purchase of a pair of Carl Zero shoes.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Definitely have to give me a pair. I know there's a few folks in the field that I talk to that are wearing them. I'm like, this is really interesting. So I'm excited to check them out.
Yeah, they're definitely non-skid. Is definitely what you want. You don't want to be slipping
Right?
and sliding. All about
That
decontamination.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that's one more thing I wanted to add on to decontam before we move out of that room. It's just making sure that you pull those racks close to you instead of traveling across the room with the wet trays. Again, we know there's a lot of water and whatnot back there, but just keeping that floor as dry as possible so that you aren't slipping and sliding and you are safe.
And if you can have a designated EVS professional for your department so that you won't have to be running about trying to find someone who is in the OR, who's in food and nutrition to try and get you a water vacuum or a mop or a bucket so that you
At the
could.
yeah. If you can't get a dedicated, at the very least, know who your contact is. That was one of my favorite process episodes from last year. We talked with the EVS director. It was just a lot of insight on how the two departments can work better together, and also sustainability. Remember, that was a big part of his conversation.
Yeah, you definitely want that collaboration because I get a lot of leaks. And, I know the supervisor, I know the technicians over there, and I'm very nice to them. So, they
Aw,
definitely help me out. Scratch their back, they'll scratch your back.
yeah,
You know, if you
right.
can help them empty your bins, empty the trash bins, put your trash out on a regular basis, definitely help them out in any way you can. Because sometimes it's one person for an entire floor. So, it's a tough job. So, just keep that in mind.
All right. Hey, teamwork makes the dream work. So we're out of decontam. We're moving into sterile prep. I am a little nitpicky in this area when it comes to personal safety, just because I feel like there's so much happening in this space, right? We got texts that can be moving around. You have folks maybe coming down to ask you for things. Phones are ringing, right? So it can get really distracting really fast. And I kind of want to piggyback on what Tony said earlier about checking in on folks. I think this is another great time where you can just take a minute to check in with your team and make sure that people are doing all right. And if they aren't, finding ways that you can support them, because it is kind of demanding, and we can't always leave the floor when we want to, but it is important to take breaks and to make sure that we're staying in a healthy mindset in this space. So check in with each other. One thing that I like to do for personal safety on the clean side is playing music, because I feel like it
Hmm.
helps lift the mood.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
rather my music on the dirty side though.
but I need it over there. That's therapy on that side, man. That's therapy on that side. What? Okay, so for those of you that go into decontam, because not everybody be in decontam.
Yeah, some people can't handle it. It's okay. It's
It's all
okay.
right.
Some
If you
people
can't
are,
take the heat, stay out
yeah,
the kitchen. Um,
exactly.
but for those of us in decontam, what's your go-to playlist? What type of music do you like in decon? D?
Well, depends on my mood, right?
Right?
And depend on the shift I'm working. So
Okay.
if it's late night, I want something upbeat. I'll put on a little dancehall music, a little Afro beats late
Mm,
night.
nice.
Sometimes I may even put on a little soft 80s and 90s soft rock.
What is it
So
about overnights and 80s, 90s soft rock? It just goes together, and I don't know why. My
soft rock is
God.
so good. Soft rock is so good. A little Madonna, a
Ooh.
little Phil Collins. I mean, come on.
Right?
Come on.
Like,
Put
maybe
on,
my I
you
can
know?
feel it coming in the air. Like it just happened. I don't know. That's Rebecca said heavy metal or 90s R&B. Hip hop. Sarah B. Cruz said metal. Yeah. If I'm in Decatam during the day, it's rock music all day because I gotta stay in my zone. So I'm gonna be heavy on the drums in Decatam. If I for whatever reason I'm not jamming with that playlist, then it's gonna be a lot of rap with a heavy bass line. I need my drums.
Oh, man.
I
Mm.
need my drums. If it's overnights, I'm probably doing that like Dear Delilah top 40 playlist just to make it through.
Oh, phew.
Maricel Miranda said reggae. All right, reggae,
All
yeah.
right, all right, all right. That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
I love some reggae music in the Town. Right? It's
Mhm.
just you gotta have the beats going. Gotta have the beats. Cause
Yeah, you
even
gotta have a,
Phil.
yeah. Hmm. Yep. Oh,
Right?
it has to have some nostalgia to it. You gotta make me think like, oh, dang, I haven't heard that in a while. Okay,
Right?
good. Okay.
I love being the DJ. That's like one of my favorite unofficial assignments in the department.
That's definitely nice. Like, especially when somebody else is feeling what you're feeling. Oh man,
Come on.
I don't even have to
Or when
get
you
up now. I'm like,
introduce people to
oh,
music they haven't paid attention to before, it's like, yeah.
mhm. Like, you like that too? Oh man, yeah. Mm.
Especially when I get onto my boy bands, my Backstreet Boy, my NSYNC. I haven't met a department yet that I couldn't get having some fun with a
People,
Backstreet Boy song.
people don't know that. Backstreet who? People don't
Yeah,
remember the
that's
Backstreet
everybody
Boys.
that's they all try to pretend into the song. Come on.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I tried that one time, play Backstreet Boys, in sync. And I'm like, who's that? But anyway.
Oh, fuck. That's all
Hmm.
good. All right. So
All
I'm
right.
glad to know I'm not we everybody out here jamming in the Decatam. That's what's up. I'm gonna say something that y'all might not like though. Take them headphones out.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
They
I
are
don't
not
like. I
safe.
can't do headphones in decon for some reason. Like, it does to me. It doesn't make sense. I don't. Maybe my earlobes
Take the
don't hook the
headphones
things. I don't know.
out. They are not safe. So the big thing, I know I'm being a mama bear right now, but you can't hear the alarms, guys, if the headphones are in. So I know you love them, but you have to take them
Mm.
off. I mean, you don't have to, but
And that's everywhere. That's you know what? That's everywhere in the department. You have your
great.
phone ringing for 2 minutes. You have your washers done. You have your sterilizers beeping, and you there.
Right? Your personal phone alarm is going off, and yeah, we struggling right
Then
now.
someone walking in there like, "Excuse me, I need some help," and you just chilling. You
Yes.
have no idea what's going on. So, guys,
I
the
know, I know.
headphones.
I'm being a stickler, but yeah, you can't hear the alarms. Hopefully, if there's something like a fire, you'll have the visual lights going off as well to get your attention. And I know it can be a little troublesome in the hospital because of alarm fatigue, because we don't always respond immediately to every alarm that we hear. But you won't hear it all if the Beats or the AirPods or whatever your favorite type is in your ear.
And I think a lot of people fail to realize it's a customer service environment,
I
and we're to serve the
mean,
customers. So if you can't hear your customers or attend to your customers, there's an issue there.
slightly problematic. Sean had posted a comment. I'm having trouble finding right now, but Sean had posted a comment about the PPE that if your facility isn't able to provide it, then they might not deserve your talent, right? So this is, it's one of those spaces where it's like you gotta make sure you're meeting folks halfway. They need to make sure that you're safe, and this is one of the ways they can do that. If you have your ears plugged in, then they can't do their jobs effectively. Yay, yay, yay. Yay,
Definitely,
yay. All right,
definitely.
so we still in prep and pack. Sharp safety is an issue here. If you
Yes.
have compressed air on this side, as far as hearing aids are concerned, make sure that those are available for you, for yourself, or for your staff. Also, even with the sound of the sterilizers, sometimes I like to have those available for my departments.
So let's get into a gray area here. What do you think about PPE on the clean side?
What type of PPE?
Gloves, mask, gown.
Okay, here's what I was saying. I struggle with telling people to take their gloves off because some of y'all nasty and decontam, and I just personal safety first because you're not gonna get me caught up out here in these streets. So I understand that, but if you're going to wear gloves on the clean side, you have to make sure that you're respecting them just like you would your hands. You can't just put on a pair of gloves and wear it all day. You have to change them. You still have to wash your hands in between changing them. There's still a plethora of steps that you're going to need to be taking to make sure that not only are you safe, but that you're not creating unsafe environment for your peers or for your patients. So wearing PPE on the clean side to me, it's indicative of a lack of trust, and that lack of trust is probably not there for a reason. So I would dig into that, because it really shouldn't be that you need it, right? These stuff on the clean shot should be clean.
Well, well, I think. So this is like a sensitive subject.
We know we are not getting caught any streets.
So
If
hey,
you
hey,
have
hey.
had
All
that
right. So
laparoscopic tube pour out blood on your hand one time,
right, exactly. You
done,
you get a Midas Rex of blood. You know,
done.
you get a medium drill with blood. You
I'm flipping
know,
trays. I'm flipping trays.
yeah. So in terms of low temp sterilization, you
Right?
definitely want when you're taking those items out of the sterilizer, you want your gloves on. Some IFUs even have wearing a gown with a mask on. So
Ooh, I've never
that's
seen this.
definitely yep. So that's definitely part of it. I definitely recommend gloves, at least extended cuff gloves, at least for the minimum. Eye protection.
Yeah,
Oops.
if you gotta stick your hand in that
Eye
chamber,
protection definitely a must because you never know, especially if you're changing those plates.
right? That's in your
Um,
that's in your IFU.
yeah. You definitely want eye protection for that. I recommend the little cheap glasses with the visor with the flip down. Something simple as that. But if you want to go full mask, um, I have almost never seen that anything from a low temp sterilizer splash, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Right.
So I recommend for folks I've worked with extended cuff gloves and a visor, protective shield eyewear. So I haven't done the full
I've
PPE yet.
gotten those chemical burns
Yeah.
in my low tip area because I wasn't wearing the proper PPE.
Hmm.
Um,
And for steam, of course, you definitely want some padded gloves or some
I've burned my hand
oven or
trying to
some
open it,
oven gloves if you
trying to
can.
reach in with a towel, a time or two.
Oh, you're trying to be superwoman, trying to get that out quick. Okay.
Didn't
All
work
right.
out well.
Man. Yeah, I've
You
had.
know, another one in that area is lifting injuries. I've worked with cats that have pulled muscles because they tried to lift those racks up without emptying the kits off. You know, when it comes off the rails or things like that.
Yes.
And yeah, that can
Lift
happen.
with your knees. If you're gonna lift anything, lift with your knees, guys. Because I know there are times
Look, if
we're
you're gonna
faced
lift,
with the
if you're
choice.
gonna lift anything, I need you to think about that before you need to lift things. We like talk about preparedness. We did an episode with a personal trainer, KJ,
Mm-hmm.
out of J Body Works in San Francisco back in December, and we also did an episode with Dr. Nicole Dugan where they both talked about strengthening your pelvic floor and making sure that you're doing like mobility and stretch exercises when you're like before work, and then also as a routine mobility exercise, so that everything in your core and everything in your like your thighs, your pelvis is strong because we are constantly lifting, and we don't think about it because it's a part of our daily routine, but that's a lot of weight all day. You know, like if we had a tracker for that, like we have trackers for steps, probably SPD techs would be astonished at their strength. But you gotta practice that off the floor, right? It's like practicing off the field. Don't let game day be the day that you try to get ready to lift.
Yes, and just as we did last year, we did a little Saturday morning walk where we walked and worked out. I mean, just a little
Yeah.
exercise, a little stretching, because definitely if you're on the floor throughout your career, you're gonna suffer some injuries, some pulls, some nicks. The ends of the sterilizer rack, one of them is gonna nick your knee or your hip or your thigh, depending on how
That
tall you are.
shin, that good
Yes,
shin action.
yeah, you're gonna lean on a hot cart one time thinking it's cool, like you're gonna get something. So
Oh, even though you just pulled it out, I forgot.
right, right, exactly. Sometimes you
Forgot.
just pulled it out and you forgot.
Doing too much.
So yeah, so definitely, guys. And sometimes your department doesn't have the ergonomic workstations or anything ergonomic, mats, nothing whatsoever for
These
employee
physical
safety.
businesses need to
They basically
disappear.
focus on the instruments and the process and the turnaround times, and that's it.
And that's it. In and out. Yikes. All right. So okay, so we have been in we crossed the threshold of getting into the hospital. We're being aware of our surroundings. We're not so zoned out on our phone that we're not getting to work safely. All
Ooh,
right. We're kind and courteous in the locker room. We're locking doors behind us if need be, but we're definitely giving people courtesy shout outs instead of just yanking the curtains. In Decatam, we are not walking in with our bare foot. We got
mm-hmm.
we know where the kill switches are. We're
Yep.
concerned about our sharp safety and how to dispose of it properly. We're not mixing chemistries and creating fumes, right? And while we are recapping that, Sean, I love this. Okay, Sean Flynn says, improper decontamination and not trusting your decon text aside, we don't want to add bioburden from a tech's bare hands in prep and pack. Keep in mind, a 6 log reduction can be achieved post decontamination. All right. So coming in with a little more info about that question about gloves, because yes, the absence of gloves isn't the presence of clean hands.
Yep.
So
I personally, I love gloves. I love gloves. I know
I
some
don't.
diehard folks don't like gloves, but I love gloves. And one more thing I want to touch on: tip protectors, guys. Tip protectors are very important, especially when you have those sharp
Oh yeah,
instruments.
Keeping
Please
yourself safe and your scrub tech
put
safe.
those tip protectors on those
It
gelpies.
can be achieved post decontamination.
Hmm.
But yeah, you sure can contaminate a tray, contaminate a clean tray just as well, huh? So keep
You
those
can. You can.
hands
People hand
clean.
people's hands sweat. People bite their nails.
Oh my
You know.
god. The anxiety. My first how shall I say this? My first time that I had to be concerned about behavioral management with a staff member as a young supervisor was around a conversation where they were licking their
Oh
thumb
my goodness.
and it was innocent, but it was also disgusting. So they were we were on file system, we didn't have a computer at the time, and they
Mm.
were licking their thumb and going into the file cabinet, and
Oh,
they
that's old school.
honestly
That's old school. That's not a. That's old
right,
school.
they honestly felt that, and it was again education, microbiology 101. Hadn't taken the test, there's again important studying for this. They felt like if the fluid was clear, then it wasn't contaminated, right? So, luckily we were able to educate and remediate that situation. But yeah, man,
Not good. Not good. Not good. Not.
don't assume that people just know things. Common knowledge is not really a thing. Oh, I love this too. Sean said, need UV phone decontam stations. Phones are gross in SPD. Yes, phones are gross in SPD, and I love how much people love to argue with me about that when it's time to put them away.
They're
Um,
not clean. They're not the cleanest thing ever.
oh my god, they take them everywhere. Look, we take them everywhere, and then we bring them all over the place. When we were at CCSA though, a couple what is this? Couple weeks back,
Yes. Yes. I
Skytron
remember.
had a really cool device that was a UV decontamination unit for your cell phones or for your handheld devices.
Hmm.
And what I loved about it was how big it was because it was tabletop, so it wasn't like it was just some huge machine,
Yeah.
but it could hold about four handheld units. And we put both of our phones in there, and we both have pretty big screens, and they fit
Hmm.
comfortably.
Yes.
So you would be able to, and it was pretty fast too. You'd be able to
Yeah.
process quite a few to get folks in and
Exactly.
out.
Yes.
Wipe that mess down,
And
right?
definitely look into that, guys. Especially if you're allowing cell phones, not simply personal cell phones, but department cell phones. A lot of departments are moving
Yeah,
to wireless devices for communication. Your your instrument coordinator may have a cell phone. Your supervisor may have a cell phone. Your manager may have a cell phone. Your your loaner prep or loaner coordinator may have a cell phone. So all
yeah,
these guys are technically cell phones, not because they're issued by the facility doesn't mean they're clean. These need to be decontaminated also.
definitely, definitely not. All
Mhm.
right, I think that about covers it. We just wanted to hit you guys with some tips. Just keep things at the top of your mind. Make sure that you're safe, and especially if you do get an injury, how do you handle this? So first and foremost,
Yeah.
don't suck it up. Please make sure that you go and you fill out at the very least the employee injury report. Most of your leadership should have that easily accessible to them. If not, it may be on their intranet page, or you can contact employee health themselves. Sometimes even a house supervisor can help you with this, especially if you're on off hours.
Yeah.
But fill out that form, because what that form does first and foremost is it notifies your employee health that there's been an injury. So
Hmm.
whether or not you need care right away, that's your choice. But at least you have that on your record in
Record.
case anything comes up and you need some
Yes.
additional care, right?
Document it, even if you don't think you will need it.
And
Document
it'll always give you that option on the form to ask if you went to receive care, and if so, you can fill that out. If you decline to do so, you can select that there as well.
it. Definitely.
If you're in a really fancy facility, they may even have it available electronically. So
Great advice. Listen to that, guys. Rewind it. Play it again.
check event, please do. The other thing with that information is it allows facilities to be aware of any process, or it may be like a product that they need to change. If there's a pattern of injuries that are coming up in a particular place, so while it may, seem like, oh man, I stuck my finger on the towel clip in the processing room, and that's not that big of a deal. Happens sometimes. But if I'm noticing that this is a routine issue, then that may cause, raise the flag for some alarm, and I might be able to remediate that situation as well. So it's another way to kind of make sure that the other people around you are safe too.
Definitely, definitely. We want to make sure that you guys aren't taking any cooties home, as this.
Not taking any cooties on, but also there are other injuries, right, that can happen, right? So we talked about breaks and sprains. We talked about burns. There could be potential for infections, right? Especially if those things are happening in the decontam space. The closer you are to that fresh blood and whatnot, fresh bodily fluids. It's just, especially with that form, the big thing is making sure that you're covered, and that information has been documented. Because if, for instance, let's say that I did have one of those sprains or pulls in the sterilizer area, and I just go, man, bad day, and I don't
Right,
fill out that form, and then 3 months from now they're telling me I have a hernia over there where I pulled it, right? I don't have now the documentation that I need to support my care, because I'm going to need some additional care. And typically in the employee space, in workman's comp, care is handled different, or in a different department than just a regular, your regular health care that's private unto you. So that
mm,
would be my advice.
yes, guys, and just be mindful. You are doing physical activity, so you want to make sure you in some type of physical condition where you could sustain this. I've seen too many old heads can't walk anymore, can't see anymore, can't do certain things, and they'll spend 20, 30 years of their life given to sterile processing. You want to make sure you take care of your body at the end of the day. Especially, you know, you wanna enjoy your retirement. You don't want to be retired and in a wheelchair, or in
No,
a nursing home.
that's not my goal if I can avoid it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Not my
Um,
goal if I can avoid it. And I agree. I'm glad you said that. It is a really physical job, and we need these bodies. Right. Like Sean said, we are trading in our talent, but we use our bodies to do that. So it's really important we take care of ourselves. Oh my goodness. Man. All right. So Wednesday, next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Be there, be square.
yeah, of course. Where else we gonna be at on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Where else we gonna be? Like I'm just trying to figure out like what else is there? Like what's else?
Man,
I mean,
what else is going on in the field right now? I know. So today's Wednesday. I know. So we got Joanne up on the screen. I know. Clubhouse is going down tomorrow night. Right. That's every Thursday. What time? What time does that go live, guys? Drop that in the chat. We'll put it up on the
yeah,
screen.
I think it's 7 p.m. on Wednesday.
On
Guys, don't
Thursday.
forget we're having our
Thursday.
marathon in October. So don't forget, give us a shout out if you want to be on. We're
We
gonna
have our
it's
marathon
gonna
coming
be
up.
really big. Really big.
Right. We're getting
Um,
organized for March. I'm super
yeah. Yes,
excited.
we're contacting some officials and we try and get something special done for the beginning of cell processing week. So when we get it officialized, we'll definitely announce you guys for
Officialized.
officialized, red stamped out.
Right?
We
Because you
want
definitely want to get that SPD pride going on.
yes,
And
yes.
if you are not following us on YouTube, make sure you head over so that you don't miss any of the Process Media Network shows. We have new episodes of Voices and Behind the Red Line coming up, and season 2 has started for the whole lineup. So new shows are out.
Let me just say what you just said in a different way.
Pow.
So
I put
guys,
a pinky
if you
finger
haven't
on
subscribed,
it. I put a pinky
if you
finger on
haven't
it.
subscribed yet, go to our YouTube channel, hit that like and subscribe button, and also don't forget to use your pinky finger and hit that notification bell so that you will be notified every time we have new content coming out. We have Behind the Red Line Voices, and we have the process right here. So thank you guys in advance.
Man, we gotta hear from Cylindra with that news you can use, because I saw some wild healthcare news today out of Minnesota, where the Minnesota Nurses Association, like the state, has voted to strike. And so they are currently in contract negotiations trying to avoid a statewide strike.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
So
Very
what do they
interesting.
want? What do they want? What are they not getting?
I'm sure pay has to do with that. Benefits have
Mm,
to do with that. I actually saw that on TikTok. So if you guys aren't following us over there, I'm Lady Avon on TikTok and Instagram. You can check us out in those personal spaces. But that's where I saw that news, and the comment section was hot. And the nurses essentially were saying that the corporate greed, from their perspective, had gotten out of control, that
mm,
CEOs were being exuberantly overpaid and they wanted their fair share. So they have
mm,
decided to strike.
mm.
Mhm.
Well, more power to those guys. And let me
Right?
1 second.
Hey,
That's
sometimes you
a
can't
bonus.
talk about it. You got to be about it, huh?
Yeah, yeah, I gotta be about it. But that's definitely good that people are standing up for what they want. I'm not sure exactly how it'll turn out, but at least
Yeah.
they're making an effort. Maybe one day we're gonna have a sterile processing strike. Who knows?
Shh, man, we'll see, huh? We'll see. All right. That's another one. We'll see you guys next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Be safe out there.
Peace.